Hello and welcome. In today's video we are doing part 3 of my favorite eyeshadow palettes in each of my brands that I love. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you stay tuned. Hello my friends and welcome. We are now in part 3 of the eyeshadow palettes that I love from each brand. So this part is the indie brands, or just more like brands that you can't find at Sephora, Ulta, CVS, you know, all your regular like, you know, in-person stores that you either have to like buy their stuff online or, you know, more specifically. So some of these will be like true indie brands, like what I think of like indie brands, and then some of them are just like some other like higher end brands, but still you can't buy them, you know, at Sephora, Ulta, those places. So anyways, if you do enjoy this kind of content though, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below, turn on all notifications, and otherwise let's just get in this video because I want to see some indie brands. Hope you're excited like I am. Stay tuned. All right, so we are just going to get started and just go down the list, okay? All right, I'm going to start with this. I'm just going to go what I have here in, you know, my piles here. So Copacetic Cosmetics, I have the Cafe Mocha Quad. Oh, I remember when I first bought this quad, first of all, it's gorgeous, beautiful. These metallics or whatever formula they are, they're gorgeous. But this thing smelled like straight up coffee mocha. It was so good, it smelled so good. Now, it smells like a little bit now still, but like, man, that's what drew me to it. I was like, oh, coffee, mocha? Oh yeah, you got me. But yeah, it is a beautiful quad though. It's so gorgeous. So it still performs really, really well, even though it doesn't have much of the smell left anymore. Makes me sad, but that's okay. All right, from Glamlite, we have the Chocolate Martini. This is definitely one of my favorite palettes from Glamlite. I love this color story. You know, I love my neutrals, but again, it's just neutrals with a pop of color, just, you know, a little extra something in there. So yeah, so this is definitely one of my favorite palettes from Glamlite. So yeah, so in that whole happy hour collection, I did really enjoy this collection. So, but yeah, I had to pick one and that would be my favorite from that collection. So Adept Cosmetics, oh my gosh, one of my favorite indie brands. Yeah, truly, honestly, one of my favorites. This is the Heather Austin palette, and again, I know I've talked about this time and time again, but this color story, the formulations in here, the multi-chromes, just, oh my gosh, just the color story. She did such an amazing job, Heather Austin here on YouTube. She did an amazing job putting this together, curating the palette, the color story, fabulous. Amazing. So love this palette. Is definitely one of my favorites from Adept Cosmetics, and I truly recommend that you check out Adept Cosmetics. And actually I do have a code with Adept. It is just Coralie Rose. It saves you 10%. It is affiliated, so I do make a small commission. So if you do use my code, I thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. But regardless, I recommend if you use my code, somebody else's code, I highly recommend you try this brand. It's amazing, amazing. All right, Dose of Colors. I have the Truffle palette. This one really surprised me. It's a cute little palette. I really, really like it. Even though there's only 2 like satin shades, metallic shades, still a beautiful color story. It performs really, really well. It's really nice and compact and good sturdy quality. Like, I really like it. It's really nice. Some other smaller ones here, we have M Cosmetics. It is the Divine Skies in the color story Rodin. This is definitely my favorite, a little bit more of that neutral color story. I really do like M Cosmetics. These are really good if you're like more mature, if you're looking for just a smoother formula, don't want anything too foiled metallic kind of thing, but just want something, you know, just smoother, you know, good for hooded eyes, more mature eyes. I highly recommend her formula. It's really, really good. So that is my favorite though of the color stories of those palettes. Next we have Roen Beauty. It used to be sold at Sephora, no longer though, unfortunately. This is the 1111 palette. I think it is definitely probably one of my favorites based on color story of the ones that I have. And I think I have 6 different ones now. But yeah, I would still have to say this is my favorite. I love this color story. I think it's just gorgeous. All these work really, really well together. Again, a little bit more cool tone, which, you know, is my favorite kind of color story. So highly recommend checking them out. And that is definitely my favorite palette from there. All right, now I know I've talked about Scott Barnes, haven't talked great about them, sorry. If I had to choose a palette from that brand though, I do recommend this. It's a Snatural No. 2, and it's the Cool Tone palette. So I did make a couple of looks with this. I think about it like last year around Christmas time, and made a couple of looks with it then. It's a really, really nice color story. I do enjoy it. I think these work pretty, you know, they work well as far as metallics and like your satin shades. But yeah, it's just a very cohesive color story, very, very pretty. And it is definitely the one palette that I do truly enjoy from that brand. So Nomad Cosmetics. Now there are a bunch of different palettes I have from Nomad, but the one that always sticks out to me is just being my kind of palette is a Tuscany palette. And again, it's just a beautiful, just everyday, neutral, easy to use, easy to curate kind of palette, you know, easy to put looks together. And these satin shades are really, really pretty. But yeah, I just like how small and compact this one is compared to a lot of their palettes. So I like the color story and the compactness of it. So HipDot. Now, I guess technically HipDot is, I think, sold at Ulta, but there was a point where you can only get them online through their store. But this is a Zion palette. But anyways, yeah, such a pretty color story. I think these metallic shades, satin shades are really, really pretty, the shimmers. But yeah, overall, I love this row right here. And this shade right there is probably my favorite of the entire palette. Such a pretty color. But yeah, so I do like HipDot's kind of hit or miss with me, but as far as their palettes, I really do like this palette. Recommend that one. Ace Beaute Falling For You. Oh, I love this palette. I got this around this time last year. It's so, so pretty. It is gorgeous. These shades, these metallics, I mean, this is foiled metallics. These are gorgeous, gorgeous, but such a pretty color story. And I love just these couple little pops of color. I mean, you take those away and it actually is, you know, relatively neutral, you know what I mean? But give you a couple of pops of color there just to kind of brighten it up and change the look a little bit. But it's such a good quality palette. I love this palette and the color story is just so pretty. Lethal Cosmetics. I went back and forth about this one. I wasn't sure, but I think I like this color story a little bit better. It's Theresa's Lethal. It's the newest palette she came out with. So she has two palettes that she collabed with them. You know, Theresa's Dead from YouTube. But I think I like this color story a little bit better. And this color right here, oh my gosh, I put this on this lid, on the lid. I was just like sitting there on the couch and I'm like, you know, I was just, my look was, it was looking dull. And I was like, I need something to brighten this up. I put that on there and it was like, pow, like foiled gorgeousness. But but yeah, I just really like the color story in here and the little bit cooler tones there. But yeah, just a nice array of colors, nice color story. It's just really, really pretty. So I really like this palette. Next we have It's Bel Cosmetics, the Flare palette. I think this is my favorite of these. I think there's 3 of these like this. They're all duochrome shadows. But this one, the color story just speaks to me the most. It's the lightest color story. The purples, you know, I love purples. That's just my thing. But yeah, I think this color story just speaks to me the most. So I think this is my favorite out of the 3 that I have. But really, really nice quality. Really love their multi-chromes, duochromes, that kind of stuff. So highly recommend. Next, we have Oden's Eye. I went back and forth on this one too. I was like, oh, I love so many Oden's Eye palettes, but I went with the Alva palette again. It's just really the color story that speaks to me again. This is just me. And these metallics are just gorgeous. The shades, they're just so pretty, work so well together. Ugh, love this, love this. Okay, we're gonna have to take a break, sorry. Okay, thank goodness they stopped pretty quickly this time. So I'm gonna keep going. Next we have Sugar Drizzle Polish. I think they're still Sugar Drizzle Polish. I think the full name. But this is the Sugar Dreams palette. And actually looking at this now, it reminds me a lot of the Flare palette. Oh, that's a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But again, I love this color story. Of all the palettes, I just love the variation in here, the lighter, brighter colors. But yeah, this is a gorgeous palette full of beautiful, just shifty shades and highly recommend. It's such a pretty palette. Highly recommend. Next we have Sydney Grace, and this was a hard one too. Oh my gosh, I love so many things by Sydney Grace. I love all of the single shadows. I love all of her palettes that I've ever tried so far. But if I had to go with one that was just based on like color story and just whatever just speaks to me the most, I had to go with the Be Mine. I love this palette. I think it's gorgeous. I love the purples and pinks. Again, these greens, if I'm going to do green, this is the green that I'm going to do. That is such a pretty color. I love that. And then again, some cooler tones, warmer tones, a nice just mix, variation. Love this color story. It's so, so pretty. I think they did an amazing job putting this together. So beautiful palette. Highly recommend Sydney Grace if you've never tried them before. Wonderful, truly wonderful brand overall. So highly recommend. Next we have Gloss Gods, which is a newer brand to me, but I did pick up 3 different palettes and just wanted to kind of show you. So far, my favorite of the 3 that I've tried is the Vintage Glam Remixed. I think this is just a beautiful palette. Again, maybe I'm just, you know, partial to like the purples and that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So, but I love this color story is gorgeous. These shades are amazing. Even their mattes perform really, really well. I was highly impressed with this palette. Yes, very highly impressed. And I'm actually wearing this shade right now on part of my lid. And yeah, it's just gorgeous. Beautiful palette. Love it. And I recommend checking out the brand. They have a lot of other palettes too that one day I hope to be able to check out. So Blend Buddy Cosmetics. Now I only have a few of their palettes now, but I have to say the ones I've tried so far, the Dollhouse is definitely my favorite as far as color story, tones. I mean, this, again, that cooler tone, they always get me. Purples, pinks, so it's like lighter tones there. I think it's gorgeous. This palette is just beautiful. Love it. Oh, it's amazing. And the metallics in here are just amazing. Beautiful. So highly recommend. Check out Blend Bunny if you haven't already. All right, Dominique Cosmetics. Again, I included ones that you can't get like at Ulta, Sephora, that kind of thing anymore. So Dominique Cosmetics, the Latte palette. This is absolutely my favorite of the Dominique Cosmetics palettes. It's the first one I ever tried from that brand and still stand by it. I love these like satin shimmer metallic shades. I think these are gorgeous. The color story, even those colors there, it's just that like muted color. Those just speak to me. So a beautiful color story. Again, still stand by that this is my favorite palette so far from that company, from that brand. So Lunar Beauty, the Nude Prism. Again, you know I love my neutrals, so this palette just speaks to me. I think I love how he curated the lighter shades there, deeper shades there with, you know, neutrals, cool tones, warm tones, and then this whole middle shade here of like your satin metallic shades, shimmery shades. They're gorgeous, beautiful. Love this palette. It's just amazing. Highly recommend if you check out any from Lunar Beauty. I think this is a great one to start with. Simply Posh Cosmetics. I have the Picking Peonies palette. Again, it's just this color story. I think it's just so pretty. Again, if I'm gonna do greens, like those are the tones of green that I'm gonna do. But I just love this array of colors, a little bit more of that grungy, but yet you still have like these pinks and a little purple. Like I love this color story. I think it's so pretty. And then these duochrome shades in the middle. I just love the way they set up these palettes. Makes it very user-friendly. Still gives you some variety and some, you know, some cool textures to play with. So yeah, so I really like Simply Posh Cosmetics as a brand overall so far. I've had really good luck with everything I've tried from them, so highly recommend you check them out. Oh my gosh, you guys, somehow yesterday when I was doing my video, I totally forgot about Kaleidos. Yeah, so my favorite palette from them is the Club Nebula in collab with Angelica Nyquist here on YouTube, and this is a gorgeous palette. Let's see here if I can get it open with one hand. But yeah, there she is. Gorgeous. Definitely my favorite palette from Kaleidos. And hopefully I won't have to sort anymore, but this is just a quick interlude. So back to regular programming. Thanks. And I think last here in my group, you know how to save the best for last. Glaminatrix Cosmetics, the Nearly Natural palette. If I can even say anything else about this palette that I haven't already said before, but it is gorgeous. I love it. I mean, these tones in here, they just work so well together. They're so pretty. It's just a beautiful palette, and these metallic shades are just insane, intense, beautiful. Oh my gosh, the mattes work really well. I'm just highly impressed with this palette, and I know they just did a restock here recently, so hopefully it'll still be open by the time you see this video, but I recommend if you haven't gotten your hands on it yet and you've had it on your wish list, I highly recommend. Shipping is a little bit expensive here to the US, but to me it was well worth it. Love this palette. So, you know, to each his own, but it was worth it to me. Oh, okay guys, I think that was it, finally. Oh my gosh, so that was part 3 of my favorite eyeshadow palettes from each brand. So yes, so the indie brands you gotta love. I love indie brands, my favorite. I've like gone cuckoo over Cocoa Puffs for indie brands lately. I don't know what it is, but they get me. Oh my gosh, the color stories, just the attention to detail, the different textures, different, you know, formulations. Oh my gosh, it's just like, oh, they just warm my heart. Just warm my heart. Love them, love them, love them. Anyways, let me know what you think of these. If you feel the same about these palettes, if you have any of these, if you've wanted to try any of these brands, I'd love to know, so leave me a comment. Otherwise, if you enjoy this kind of content, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below, turn on all notifications. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, and I do hope to see you in my next video. Bye! some of these, I didn't know whether to put them all together or not, but here we are. So that's that. Oh God, it's hot. I'm hot. You know, truly, but if and this is one I got before they were sold at Sephora, I mean sold at Ulta. Oh, my palette's coming apart. Oops, sorry, I probably shouldn't do that. See if the dogs are gonna stop barking. Ugh, love this, love this. Okay, we're gonna have to take a break, sorry. Highly recommend. It's why is my nose itch so much? Let me know what you think about these down. Please give me a thumbs up. Oh my God. Oh, I don't even know how many videos I knocked out at this point. Like, I lost count. Oh my gosh. Woo, I should be good for a while though, guys. Woo. Okay, well, I'm gonna try to enjoy what's left of my day. So thanks. Bye guys, see you next time.